Hello, my friends. It's Andy Falco Jimenez coming to you live from Yorba Linda, California for the Vote PYL Vote. It's so important you vote this November that I put it twice in the name. So make sure you vote. I would suggest you vote in person. That is the best way to vote. But if you can't vote in person, then I would drive your ballot to Calvary Chapel Chino Hills, where they will accept any ballots from Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, and I think that's it. I don't believe San Diego. So I believe it's San Bernardino, Riverside, Orange, and LA. And they will make sure that your ballot gets to the right place. What I love about Calvary Chapel Chino Hills is Jack Hibbs, Pastor Jack Hibbs, and the rest of the team over there, they're not afraid to talk politically in regard to what God suggests that we should do in regard to our government. And the false idea that churches cannot get involved in politics, that there's some law against it, is wrong. Jack has said this several times. And one of the reasons I started going to Calvary Chapel Chino Hills was during the pandemic, when it was the only church open. It was the only church in the area that did not close because Gavin Newsom told him so. Now, it did close it for a couple of weeks because nobody knew what was happening. But then very quickly, it didn't take long for Pastor Jack Hibbs to say, wait a minute, this is crazy. The one thing that should be open is a church. And so he opened back up and took a lot of heat for it. And Gavin Newsom attacked him. A couple other churches in California did the same thing up in the Ventura area, Ventura County. I know there was a couple in the San Diego area or Temecula area, but not very many. Unfortunately, not a lot of churches opened up. So why am I opening up with Jack Hibbs, Pastor Jack Hibbs? It's because of that reason that you want to take your ballot there. If you cannot vote in person, do not take a chance of mailing it in. Don't take a chance of dropping it off over at Cook Park over there. Take it to Calvary Chapel Chino Hills, where they will make sure that it gets counted. And you can track it. Today at church, they had a little card they handed out where you scan the QR code and it takes you to a place where you can keep track of where your ballot is in the process of getting counted. So that's available too. All right. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention is Pastor Jack Hibbs during his message. Again, he's not afraid. He doesn't care about getting canceled. He's been talking about how his social media platforms have all been either shadow banned or taken down for a period of time. And that, just like mine. But I think I'm out of jail right now. I think I'm currently on parole, which means I'm still being watched and monitored, and probably still, my posts are being not pushed out there like, a regular person's post. I'm probably under surveillance of the FBI and a whole other list of things, which is perfectly fine, because as long as I'm doing what is right and what is truth, and not making up a lot of nonsense like the other side does. Carrie Buck and Karen Freeman, who are the incumbents that are trying to get reelected, which they won't. They have no problem telling lies. They have no problem stealing signs. They have no problem supporting Steve Slauson, who's splitting the vote, the conservative vote. He's not a conservative. I tried to play nice with Steve and all that kind of stuff, but the lies and the nonsense just continued. And he's put out lies about Todd Frazier and Rich Engel, which are friends of mine, because I know that they care about kids and they're out there telling the truth. And so, Steve just needs to go away in regard to this election. Unfortunately, he's causing problems, and he's sided with Carrie Buck and Karen Freeman, and so has a couple other people in the community. I feel strongly that the numbers that are supporting Karen Freeman, Carrie Buck, and Steve Slauson are small, but I'm just hoping everybody else will get out the vote. And so back to Pastor Jack, what I want to show you is his message. A portion of it talked about something that's, odd, that we even have to be talking about it. We shouldn't even be having to talk about it at church. It just should be like the truth. Like the here I'm saying like my kids. They got me saying the word like. It is simply, there's no question what Jack is going to say in this video. I took a portion of his message today, that there's no question that what he's saying is just fact, and that it has to be said, and that it gets such a reaction that it's being said just tells me that we are in a very crazy period of time that we all know is crazy. But it's even crazier when you say something so truthful and you get a strong reaction from the 3,000 people, not just at this message, but the tens of thousands of people that watch. I'm sure we're all also standing up and cheering because it has to be said. I don't know why it has to be said, but it has to be said. So let's listen to what Jack has to say here, because it's important that you hear this. Here we go.
I don't think you can. Take a deep breath. Here it comes. Hang on. There's only two genders. How could that be? How can that be? I don't know, it just is. God said it. Newton said it. Every scientist says it. Biology says it. Chemistry, listen, chemistry and biology, they don't have a personality.
Watch the whole message. Go to Calvary Chapel Chino Hills, their website. Go to YouTube. If it's still up, it probably isn't still up. But if it is, watch it there. And listen to the whole message today. It was fantastic. But bringing me back to my point in regard to what this has to do with vote, PYL vote, and the election and the school board, is that we have those two people that have been on the school board for a far too long of a time, because they've caused our the education level to drop below a level that's acceptable. That less than 40 to 30% of the children are at grade level in our schools is shameful. They should be so embarrassed. I'm not even sure why they're running. That you would think that they'd be too embarrassed to even show up for school board meetings, that they'd be too embarrassed to have their names listed on a ballot, that they've been the ones that have been in charge for several years and decades. As a matter of fact, they were in charge. I know Karen Freeman was in charge of the school board, or was on the school board when the people that are running were in school, that were children. And so, and ever since, the schools have been declining, not just in the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, but throughout the state of California and throughout the United States, to where we are below. I think we're 25th or worse, because I know there's been a couple of years since it's probably been since I've looked at it, but it's 25, 20. We're 25th in the world in education, and there's so many other countries, and even some not so great countries, that are ahead of us in regard to education. And the reason why isn't just because of Freeman and Buck. They just happen to be supportive of the teachers' unions. And so they are bought off and paid for by the teachers' unions. Up to $45,000 or more has been put into their campaigns this time around. And so you know that they are beholden to the teachers' unions. And that would be the CTA, the California Teachers Association, the NEA, the National Educators Association, and the APLE, the Association of Placentia Linda Educators. All three of them are joined together. They are essentially the same. Just one is local, one is state, and one is federal. And they have banded together to ensure that our children are not educated. Now you're saying, wait, how can you say that? How can you say, Andy, and a number of other people, how can you say that the teachers' unions are against education? It's just like Jack said. I don't know. It just is. It just is, because we can see it. We can see that that's happened. We see it through the studies. We see it that they have to reduce. And listen, they're below grade level, and they've reduced the levels of the passing grades because they can't get to a exceptional passing grade. The education is so bad that they had to reduce the grades. We know this because Abrams or Abraham or whatever her name is, that's one of the superintendents, said so in a meeting probably 2 years ago, where they were making it easier for children who were getting Fs to now get Ds, and whoever's getting Ds to now get Cs. That this is something that is going, you know, this has been something that's been pushed in the state of California. And because Buck and Freeman are beholden again to the teachers unions and to what happens in Sacramento, they just go, okay, we'll reduce everything down, and that way it'll make it look like the education's better than it actually is. So even with the grades being reduced, the passing grades being reduced to a lower level so that more people could pass, even though they've done that, there's still 30 to 40% of the kids that are below grade average, below their grade level in education, in reading and math, in language arts, in spelling, in U.S. history, that they're below even. There's not even 50% of the kids that are at grade level, not even 50%. And you sit here and you probably question me and you're saying, what's your, why are you saying this stuff? Because it's important. Because if we, our parents, are going to allow this to happen and not say something about it, then we're derelict in our duty as being parents. Then we just need to be fired as parents. And that is, essentially that's what Sacramento teachers unions want. They want a separation of the nuclear family. They want there to be a separation between the children and their parents. They want to cause so much chaos when it comes to these gender issues and pronouns and education and the pornography that they're allowing to be in the libraries and being actually in the hands of the teachers and handed out. We've had parents read books that have been given to them by the teacher to their child. And we've seen parents in California get up and read the books, and the school board says, you can't read that stuff. It's not allowed. You're reading stuff that is pornographic. And we're going, right. They're all adults inside that room, and they're saying stop. But yet they're saying it's okay to give it to children in elementary school, in junior high, in high school. You cannot read it at a school board meeting where there's all adults, but you can give it to children and have them just check it out willy-nilly. And then you have also teachers giving it to children so that they could take it in private, and they say, don't tell your parents. These teachers and these librarians that allow this to happen should be arrested. There are penal code sections, state of California penal code sections, which I used as a sex crimes detective at Anaheim Police Department to arrest pedophiles who are giving pornography to children to get their rocks off. Why else would a librarian and a teacher give it to a student if they weren't trying to get their rocks off? There's no other purpose. There's no educational value in giving children pornography. Let me say that again, just in case you are watching and you're a liberal. There's no educational value giving pornography to my children or anybody else's children in Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. No educational value whatsoever. Our kids should be able to should be taught how to read, write, count, and think. Not taught how to sext. Now, over the next couple of weeks, as we're getting closer to the election, I'm going to revisit some of the shows that I've done where I'm showing you where the NEA, the CTA, and the APLE have a website that gives teachers the ability to have the children with their phones scan a QR code that will send them to their website, the CTA, NEA, APLE website, that tells them with a cookbook how to sext another child, how to do it properly, not text, sext. And it goes through the dialogue that you would give to the other person so that they would sext back. So they would send a picture back and talk about sex and talk about what they're going to do to them physically. It's a pamphlet that the teachers have been instructed to give to children in the school district. And this is promoted and created by the CTA, the APLE, and the NEA. So I'll go through some of those websites. I will show you the book that a parent that I interviewed on my show probably about almost a year ago now, in regard to something else. But he found a book called "This Book Is Gay," and I don't think I have it up in my. I don't have it up, or else I'd read you some of the stuff that's in there. But it talks about fisting. It talks about urinating on other people as sexy. It talks about pornography being good and fun. It talks about having multiple sexual partners is suggested and encouraged, and also fun. While we are as parents saying, listen, save yourself for marriage. Do not sex, because it could crush you in regard to getting a job in the future. It could crush you in future relationships. It can crush you personally. And yet you have the school that has teachers giving QR codes that tells them, don't listen to your parents. It's okay to sext. It's fun. As I just last night had a discussion with two of my teenagers about some things that I know that have been happening around them, and talking about them not saying any kind of cuss word. And it's not that we want to live this Puritan life. And I know that people look rolling their eyes and saying, your kids can't cuss. Your kids cuss all the time when you're not around them. I don't care if they cuss when they're around me. I'm teaching them not to cuss when they're not around me. I'm trying to teach them to be different. I want them to be the light in the room, the light in the classroom, light at the school. Be the one kid who doesn't cuss every third word, doesn't throw out the F word as if it's an adjective or a verb, that doesn't throw out a foul sequence of words just so they can be cool. And so I've had these discussions, and I have these discussions often. And I know people would probably look at me and say, why do you bring that up? What does it matter? What does it matter that they're out there cussing? All the other kids cuss, because they're not all the other kids. They're my kids. Why do you care if they sext? Because I care if they sext. As I told them last night, you want to be a police officer, you want to work for the, I was going to say the FBI, but I don't want them working for the FBI right now. Maybe when they fix the FBI, they can work for the FBI. But if they want to get get into counterintelligence, or they want to get some type of secret clearance of some sort, when they begin to look in their background, would you rather not have them go into your background and see all the nude pictures that you sent, or all the times that you were cussing over a text message? Wouldn't you rather have them look at your history of texting and social media and say, oh my gosh, we've not seen a person like this in 20 years. Where did you grow up? Who was your parent? Or what caused you to not, fall into line and be a follower of nastiness? What caused you to do that? And I would love for them to say, well, my love for Jesus Christ is what I would love them to say. And that would be fantastic, because that would be hopefully the truth. But I also want them to say that, you know what, that's what I've been taught. I've been taught that there's no reason to use those words. There's no reason to get caught up in doing these activities. It's much better to be mindful and morally right, is what I want them to say. That I want people to look at them and say, what's different about you? And shouldn't we be teaching that in our schools? Why does it stop here with the parent? Why is it that I have to counter what teachers may be teaching my children? That's never been the way before that I know of. It's possible that it has been. I'm reading a book right now. Where is it? I have it on my screen here. You'll see it behind me here in 1 second. It's the next. Oh, there it is. Battle for the American Mind. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of it. By Pete Hegseth. And it talks about over the last 100 years how the liberals have been taking over our schools. But even during the period of time that I was in school, which was not over 100 years ago, the 70s, I never knew I knew my teacher was probably married, but I didn't hear anything about her marriage. I didn't hear anything about her political views, whether she was a Republican, Democrat, Independent, if they, whatever they had back in the days. I'm sure there was others. You didn't know any of those things. I went to school and they taught me how to count. Andy, 2 + 2 = 4. 4 + 4 = 8. 8 + 8 = 16. You spell and, A-N-D. You spell the, T-H-E. Now, I'm not going to go much further than that because I might get it wrong. But that's what they taught. Common ways of learning how to count and common ways how to read. They didn't go into all this other nonsense. They didn't say, if two transgender boys who used to be girls went to the store and wanted to buy, they didn't do any of that. No, it was just two boys went to the store. They bought some ice cream, and they were 15 cents each. How much did they spend? It was just normal stuff. Why do you have to make it about all this other stuff? It's just really crazy. And so I go back to Pastor Jack's video that I played, and that shouldn't have been unusual. You shouldn't have had 3,000 people, many of them giving a standing ovation when Pastor Jack said what he said. That should not be something. It should be like, everybody should have said, why is he saying that? Of course, everybody knows that there's only two genders, a boy and a girl. But we've lost our way. We've lost our way as a country. Parents have lost their way because why? Because what I said yesterday, we were quiet. We thought everything was being handled. Or even worse, we were too afraid to upset our people that we work with. We were too afraid to upset our friends and family. We were too afraid to upset one of our children by saying, no, Johnny, there's only two genders. I don't know where you're learning this nonsense, but it's nonsense. There's only two genders. That's it. Your pronoun? What are you talking about? What? And to look at them like they're crazy. But now we're having to deal with these things because of not only social media, that surely is one part of it, but we're having to do it because it's what they're learning at school from some teachers. We know what's happening because parents have reported it as to what it is their children have brought home and said, you know what, I was told not to say this. I was told not to tell you, but this is what's happening in our classroom. Or just not too long ago, I think it was maybe 2 months ago, I learned that one of the coaches at El Dorado School asked the people to state their name and their pronouns. At El Dorado School, I know that we've had boys dress in the girl locker room and go to the bathroom in the boys' bathrooms. And we know that there's girls not drinking water because they're afraid that they may have to go pee and they'll run into a situation where there's a boy in the restroom. That has all been reported by children and parents in our school district. And this needs to come to an end. This is nonsense. It needs to come to an end. If there's children, and again, this isn't me being homophobic. This isn't me being racist. This isn't me if there's a child that's struggling with their identity and who they are, and they need to use a restroom that's not their sex, then they need to be accommodated by the teachers in the teacher's lounge, not with the children. Why are they going into the children's locker room when they're the most vulnerable to something potentially bad? They should be going to the teacher's lounge, the teacher's restrooms, not the children's restrooms, because there's very few of them. There's what, 2 or 3? I mean, there may be more because now you've had teachers that encourage this along the way. And so maybe now there's a total of 5. I don't know. But that's still not so many that we need to completely throw out and punish the children who are not having struggles with who they are. But you accommodate the few with something that makes more sense. You don't put out hundreds of kids because there's 5 that are struggling with whatever it is that their parents have chosen not to help them with, whatever that may be, and however that may look like. I don't know. But obviously something needs to be done. But it's not at the expense of the majority of children that attend all these schools in the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. We need to also make sure and look and find out what it is that is in not only in our curriculums, but what it is that the teachers are taking out of context and pushing into our schools. Are they saying that Martin Luther King now is a bad person? Are they now saying that Abraham Lincoln is racist? Are they now saying that Jefferson and Washington no longer need to be looked at as our founding fathers, that they need to be looked at as some type of racist criminals? That is nonsense. That's also being done. It may be in the curriculum that we can see that is shown to us on parent night at the school. Hey, this is what we have. But then what they're teaching in the classroom may be different. Now, the solution is cameras in the classroom. And I've gone over in another show how that would work, and the parents that are concerned about privacy and all that kind of stuff about showing children, it needs to be done just like it's done with law enforcement, where the files for the videos are kept under lock and key and only produced or only shown when it's necessary and to the people that need to see it at a time where it is necessary to see it. This isn't something that goes across the internet for everybody to watch and see what's going on in the classrooms. That's not how it should be done. It needs to be done in a way that we can follow up. If something happens in the classroom, we can say, okay, these people have the clearance to look at these videos and to see about what's being said. And that could be the school board. So it could be the school board members have the clearance, along with the superintendent, along with the principal and the vice principal, to sit in a room and play the video in the classroom during the period of time that said incident occurred. Or that they say, you know what, we're going to go through a spot inspection in the U.S. history teachers and just make sure that what we say is allowed on the curriculum is being taught, that the curriculum is actually being taught as we suggested. And you can do that too. That's what happens again in law enforcement. If they have an officer that's maybe up for some type of award, or maybe they're looking at them because they're just not sure, they want to see how they're doing, somebody could look at those videos and confirm that they're doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. The same thing can be done, but not sent out publicly so that anybody can see what's happening in classrooms. Do you get what I'm saying? And so these are things that quite possibly need to be done. The fact that they're being video recorded will knock down a whole bunch of this stuff. And they'll know they're being recorded, and they'll say, you know what, it's not worth losing my job of whatever it is, $75,000, $120,000 a year. I don't know how much they get paid. And so I'm just not going to do it. I like my job. I get summers off, Christmas off, Easter off. And so it's not worth it. And they'll choose not to do it. You're going to have the few that will continue to do it. But that is something that we need to see. They're probably from Cal State University, Fullerton. They're probably from Chapman University, because those are the ones that are being taught this nonsense. I love this lady, Stacy Denny Wilson, who comes on and tells me, shame on me, that I'm saying that children come first and that parents apparently she thinks parents should not be caring for children's mental health and physical health, that what I'm doing is wrong. And so, Stacy, I appreciate you, but that's the only thing you do. You just say shame on you, but you don't tell me why it is you think that pornography should be handed out in the library. You don't say why pornography should be handed out in the classroom. I don't want my children seeing pornography. Stacy, you're more than welcome to share pornography with your children. You can do that all day long at your home. And you can tell your children that police are racist, that white people are oppressors, and that colored people are oppressed, and you're not smart enough, and so we're going to lower the grades for you, because obviously you're of the demographic that's too stupid. If that's what you want to tell people, I choose not to. I choose to say that all races are equal, and it's the content of your character that I care about. And I do think that you as a minority are smart enough to get an A at the level that the A used to be, not what it is now. I think you're smart enough that you won't get straight Fs. And I know that if we have a teacher that can teach you how to read, write, and count, and to think, and not indoctrinate you and waste time teaching you pornographic subject matter, and don't waste time teaching you that white people are racist and everybody else is oppressed because of the white people, because I'm not going to waste your time with that, you as a minority child. Instead, I'm going to tell you you are fantastic. Instead, I'm going to teach you how to actually count and how to read. And I'm going to teach you about this fantastic country of ours, who was one of the first countries to abolish slavery, who is the most giving country on the planet, who has done more for the entire world as one country than all the other countries combined. That's what we need to teach all of our children. But Stacy, if you want to teach your children pornography instead, feel free. And I know that it's shame on me that I want my children to actually be educated. I am, I'm not sorry. I was going to say I'm sorry. And I almost choked on the sorry. But Stacy Denny Wilson, I wish you would tell me more, because you're not telling me. Tell me why it is you think it's necessary to teach pornography to children. So just comment. I will wait here for you to comment and let me know why it is you think that that's important. And tell me why you think my children who are Persian, who are Mexican, who are Irish, which are also a class that was oppressed back in the day. And what? Oh, American Indian are my children. So you think all my children are too stupid to be educated, that we need to lower the standard because my children are too stupid? Is that what you're saying? Or because they have blonde hair and blue eyes, many of them, that they're white and now they're racist? I'm not sure which one you want, because I have all of the above. My kids are Mexican. I have a child that's Persian. I have a wife that's Persian. So women of color. I want to know which one of I should do. Am I the racist in my house because I'm Mexican? This is really confusing. So Stacy, you need to explain all this to me, because I don't understand why it's a shame on me that I'm supporting Todd Frazier and Rich Engel and Ryan Bent, for that matter, for city council for Yorba Linda. Just tell me why it's a shame that I'm doing this, or the shame that I'm playing this. Here, let me play this for you.
I think you can. Take a deep breath. Here it comes. Hang on. There's only two genders. How could that be? How can that be? I don't know, it just is. God said it. Newton said it. Every scientist says it. Biology says it. Chemistry and biology, they don't have a personality.
So Stacy, I'm guessing you say shame on Pastor Jack Hibbs for stating the obvious at church today. I'm still waiting for you to comment and tell me why it's necessary to teach my children pornography. I don't allow pornography in my house. I don't allow them to cuss in my house. I don't allow them to cuss in the car. I don't allow them to cuss outside. So I'm not sure. I still am waiting. I'm just hesitating now because I'm waiting for Stacy to give me some answers as to why that's shameful that my kids are not allowed to cuss, and they're not allowed to participate in sexting, and they're not allowed to put things in social media that will be shameful or immoral. I'm just wondering why that's shame on me. All right, while we're waiting, Stacy, let me know. Shar says you are exactly right. Thank you. Apparently, Stacy doesn't think I'm right. And it is sick. It is absolutely sick, Shar. I mean, when I show you, there's stuff that even, I do give the disclaimer that I'm getting ready to show you some bad stuff, which I'm going to do it over the next couple of days. So Stacy, make sure and stay tuned and come on those shows and let me know how it is you feel, because that would be amazing. But I'll actually show you the subject matter that is in our schools, that the CTA, the APLE, and the NEA support and created. They created a website. I didn't create it. Stacy, Stacy Denny Wilson, I did not create this website. The NEA, the CTA, and the APLE created the website. I'm only the messenger. The book called This Book is Gay talks about fisting, talks about urinating on other people, and tells children to actually participate in pornography. I didn't write that. The person who wrote the book wrote that. That's in the Yorba Linda High School Library, and I'm sure it's in other libraries. It just so happens that we have a copy from the Yorba Linda High School Library. So I have no idea what it is you're talking about in regard to shame, because I didn't do it, if that's what you're referring to. Shar says, we put the majority in danger to accommodate the few. Absolutely. That's what they're doing. That is what it is they're doing. Stacy, would you not rather have, and who knows, I know nothing about you, but if you had, and if, I don't know if you do or not, but if you had a child who was born a boy but walks around in a girl's dress, wouldn't you be a little bit afraid of them being yelled at or talked about, or concerned that these girls who would be scared that they now know that there's a boy inside the bathroom with them, or that in the middle of changing, where they have their garments off, and now this boy who's dressed like a girl walks in, and now there's this like, what are you doing? And they get scared. Wouldn't that be more traumatizing for both parties the one who's the boy dressed as a girl and the girls that are in there, would it make sense instead of, as Shar said and I said earlier, that instead of accommodating the few and affecting the majority, wouldn't it be best to go into an adult's bathroom that usually, I don't know, but I'm guessing maybe only have one stall, where there's no chance, possibly, again, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking that there's maybe one or two stalls in the teachers' restrooms, because there's not many of them, where the chances of them having a incident where people are scared or afraid or concerned, I don't know what words to use, but would that not make more sense to have them go to a restroom where there's not a majority of people that may get upset and concerned? I'm just spitballing out there, but I'm just trying to figure it all out. But if there's only 3 or 4 people that are struggling with this idea, then it would make sense to put them in a place where they're safer. Everybody's safer, not just the people that are of the sex that they're in that restroom, but the ones who are not of the sex that's in that restroom. Just, again, throwing it out there. Yeah, so it's a shame on me, apparently, that I think this way. I feel like I'm thinking common sense. I don't know. I see a lot of people watching. Only Shar and Stacy have commented so far. If all of you that are watching, because there's a large number of you watching, and we're on a lot of different channels. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, and where else am I? LinkedIn. We're all over the place. I know there's people that watch it and say there's only one person watching. No, there's a lot. I can see all the numbers. Oh, all of a sudden they all dropped off. When you start saying that people are, I see people watching, they think that they're liberals, obviously watching, and they, oh no, we got to tone out. He sees that I'm watching. And so I gotta click off. But I don't know if you're watching the replay, let me know how you feel. That would be great. I just wanted to come on and let you know there's only 8 days left. So make sure that you know where it is you're going to either drop off. And I would suggest Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, where they allow you to drop off, and they will make sure that it goes to the right county and that it will actually get counted. You'll have a QR code where you will be able to follow your ballot. And then you will be able to know exactly where your ballot goes and that it's counted. That's one option. Or you can do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to vote in person at the Yorba Linda Library. I believe that's where I still vote. But it's possible that I don't. I was living on Pimlico before, and so that may have changed since I've moved to a different area of Yorba Linda. So wherever it is, I'm going to vote in person. Karen, where have you been? You're going to have to rewatch. It got very exciting there for a little bit, but you missed a lot. I played a video of Jack Hibbs today. I've had Stacy, who says that shame on me that I'm talking about Rich Engel, Todd Frazier, and why it's important to have them on the school board. And she believes, I think, that pornography should be taught to children, that it's shame on me that I'm not for pornography in our schools, that I'm not for indoctrination, that I'm not for teaching the United States is a racist country, that I'm not for, and I could go on and on and on. Apparently, it's shame on me that that I don't believe in those things. And Karen did see Jack today, and he was fantastic. Yeah, I talked about in second service about, he said, you know what, I'm going to say something out there, and I have that video. I played it for everybody. So go ahead and watch the replay. And groomers won't like what you have to say. Well, I know, but I just feel like what I'm saying is common sense. I'm not sure that what I'm saying is bad. But Karen, thanks for joining. You're gonna have to watch the replay. I got kids to pick up. My son's got a girlfriend now, and now I gotta work my schedule around him and his girlfriend. And a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, Karen, please feel free and comment. There's some pretty cool stuff that we end up talking about. Again, over the next week, I will bring back some of the stuff that I brought in so I can revisit it, because I know that there's new people that are watching all the time. And as I was telling Karen earlier, I saw a gentleman at the Bonds over here at Yorba Linda in Fairmont handing out and talking to people about voting for Todd Frazier and Rich Engel and Ryan Bent. And I've never seen the man before, so it's fantastic because it feels like I know, or at least I know people by appearance. I don't know everybody's name that are part of the PYL movement of parents who do not want the indoctrination going on in our schools. And so it was nice to see somebody I've never seen before, obviously supporting children and parents in the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District about common sense education. And he was handing out flyers and talking to people. I thought I would talk to him on my way out. I saw him on the way in, and I saw that he was holding the flyers. And I thought, you know what, I'll talk to him when I come out. And then when I came out, he was already gone. So he probably had been there a long time already. So whoever you are, thank you for doing that. I do appreciate that. All right, my friends, I will talk to you later. Take care. I got to see what I need to do for kid pickup. All right, I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.